Welcome everyone to my channel. If you haven't been here before, pull up a seat, sit down. We are going to talk about Pleasure by Jacqueline Frank. Discipline, penance, order, a sanctuary's priest life revolves around such things, but when Sagan is taken captive and thrust into the Alaskan wilderness, he encounters a woman who challenges his faith and self-control. Valera is a natural-born witch who almost lost herself to the lure of dark magic. By rights, Sagan should shun her, but convention will count for nothing in the face of a passion that could change the world of the Shadow Dwellers forever. As Chancellor of the Shadow Dwellers, Malea's first duty is to her people. Her bodyguard, Gwyn, knows this all too well. For tradition's sake, Malea must marry, and the thought of this lush, vibrant woman in a loveless union is impossible for him to bear. Gwyn loves Malea, not as a subject loves his queen, but as a man craves a woman. And even if he cannot keep her, he'll show her everything she stands to lose. This is the conclusion to a series, and I've got to say, I do like the conclusion, the ending of it. The conclusion of it, the ending of it, it was really, really good, okay? I'm going to say that. The first part of it, because it literally does part it. Because once you get past a certain thing, chapter 7, I think it is, you get a chapter 1 again, okay? So this is like technically a novella stuck in a book. Why? Don't know. Necessary? They could have made Sagan's longer. She could have written it longer and made it its own book. She made it a 4-part book. Because this one does not really move the plot along. I mean, it does end the plot, yes. But none of it really has much plot going on. You see like a few snippets of the plot moving along, and then the plot's done. That's literally the wrap up. I mean, I think she wrapped this up a little too early. I think she could have done more with it, to be honest, in my opinion. So in Sagan's story, you start with Valera. She's going out to get some meat for her because she has some stored away. She thinks she hears a bear. So instead of getting the meat, she leaves it in her shed and goes back inside. And that's when two Shadow Dwellers, but she didn't know that, came upon him and threatened her. So she was forced to turn all the lights off in her house, and then forced into her house, and then they brought in Sagan, unconscious. They drop him on the floor, and they try to do wicked, evil things, but she traps him in this big-ass circle of light in her defensive magic, and they both burst into flames, because light is deadly to the Shadow Dwellers. And it does burn Sagan. So here she is, panicking because she almost killed this dude, and she killed 2 dudes, and she thought they were human, and she didn't understand what was going on, so she goes to heal Sagan. So Sagan wakes up and freaks out just a little bit. And after he's healed, they have this discussion. She's keeping secrets, he's keeping secrets. They don't really talk about their secrets all that much. But she does figure out that he is a creature. Which one? She doesn't know at first. She also has cats that she can communicate telepathically with. That communicate telepathically with anyone if they choose to. But they're cats, and cats are weird, okay? And they don't trust men. So they're very wary of Sagan. So within these 7 days that he's with her, he falls in love with her. She falls in love with him, and they're attracted sexually. And then during some of it, Sagan learns the truth. Because he can read minds. By the way, if he touches somebody, he can read minds. So he reads her mind and finds out memories or whatever, and finds out what she is, and realizes that she uses her magic for good, and it doesn't stink, and it's not evil, and that she was tarnished, but she cleansed herself, and that meant that other natural-born witches who were necromantic and evil could be cleansed and become good. And that means fight for the Shadow Dwellers and everything. So he decides that he's going to go home to quit being a priest because he broke the priesthood and help out his family. Magnus convinces him, hey, if you think Valera can help us out, bring her to us and let us keep her and have her help us in doing all kinds of things that we could use in the end, right? So he returns, and he says, I can bring you with me. I can have the best of both worlds. We have kids together. We can raise them in the Shadow Dweller world, and they won't turn out like evil or die or anything else. And we can show the world that natural born witches can be good and can help our society in a good way. She agrees, obviously, and she brings all her cats with her. Malaya and Gwyn. Malaya is extremely upset with her brother Tristan for keeping back the fact that he knew for 6 months, if not longer, that the council wanted to force her to marry. And very old law, and she respects tradition and law. And you get a little bit of background about how Malaya and Gwyn met. Gwyn was actually part of an assassination clan, and he was told to assassinate Malaya. Malaya, who had seen him coming because she can see flashes of the future, had sat there and waited for her and convinced him to work for her, to protect her. And so that's how they became bodyguard and client type deal thing. And he helped her become one of the chancellors of the Shadow Dwellers. Gwyn also fell in love with her. She just thinks of him as a friend for like a very, very... He wants her to marry for love. He doesn't want her to marry for tradition. Nor does Tristan want her to marry for tradition. He wants to marry for love. But Malaya agrees to it, saying that she will choose who she marries. And she's like, bring me a candidates of all the people that you think approve, and I'll look through the list, but that doesn't mean I'm choosing from your list. And of course, none of the people on the list are people that she actually likes. And she doesn't want to do that. Gwyn tries to show her some things, and it wakens her sexuality to him, and she realizes that she wants him. But first she's like, I just want to bed him, and then I'll be on my way. And that's when she realizes later on that she doesn't just want to bed him, she wants to be with him as a lover. He leaves for a while to go talk to old clan members' assassinations, and goes to one that he knows will help out. And there's like a rule within the clans of assassinators that you don't go after newborns or mothers of newborns. You don't go after babies. And regardless if they're unborn or born, you don't go after them and assassinate them. It's wrong, unethical. Even most assassination clans don't do that. But there is one that chose it. So he hires somebody to do that. And while he's trying to hire this person, Malaya tracks him down. Okay. And gets all the people in this seedy tavern on her side by talking about their clan, who they're a part of, their traditions, and talking to them like they're people. And she's like, how can I lead you if I don't know who your clans are, who you're feeling with it, or anything about you? I can't. That's just not how it goes. So I have memorized all clans and their affiliations and the tattoos that they have for their clans and all that stuff. I know it all. And she endears them to her. So Gwyn takes her back to the place that he was renting, and they have sex. And that's when Malaya realizes that she wants to be with Gwyn, but then she also sees this. She had seen before this thing where Gwyn was being held captive by Acadia, and that bad things were going to happen. Of course, right after they've had this lovely sex, the room gets broken into and they get captured. At one point in this, Daenerys, who is Magnus's handmaiden and lover and carrier of his child, because she does get pregnant, was in this dreamscape in her mind, because you can go into the dreamscape through dreaming, or you can go into it through going through the shadowscape and then going into the dreamscape, which is where your physical body can be part of it. And she was just dreaming in her mind, and she gets trapped there, and Magnus wakes up and says, if you don't do anything, you're going to lose your wife and your child. Of course, he's already lost the child, because what neither of them knew was that Acadian had fed her poison that would expel the child, regardless. Because Daenerys and Magnus killed her child, one of her children. So that's her getting revenge. Magnus and Gwen go in and they rescue her thanks to Gwen's brains, and she comes out safely. Now, she's like, they find out through a note that Gwen being there means Malea's unprotected and that somebody was going to try to assassinate her. Now, while Daenerys was being confronted with Acadian changed her forms into 3 different senators, and so when Gwen came out of it, he went and assaulted all 3 of the senators to try to figure out which one was most likely Acadian. Malea, of course, stopped him from outright killing them, torturing them and all this stuff, and had them get healed. Which was Acadian's plan, because Acadian is actually one of those counselors that she changed into, shared the forms of. What happens is that when Gwen and Malea wake up, they're both trapped, and Acadian's like, I'm going to kill Gwen if you don't do what I want, and if Gwen doesn't do what I want, you're going to be violated terribly and left alive and tortured for years before I let you die. Because she wants to be chancellor. She wants to rule the people. And she's very, very crazy. And then you learn about her 3rd gift, because Shadow Dwellers have 3 gifts. Okay? And the 3rd gift is unique to each other. Like, Malea can see the future, and Sagan can read memories, type deal things. Hers is that she can feel the pain of others. And she was taught to enjoy that. And so that's why she liked torturing people and being very, very mean. Because she enjoyed it. Because that's how her twisted brain came with the powers. That's how she was twisted into thinking. And you find out that the lovely maid that they had that served Malea was the Acadian's 2nd child. But she didn't approve of any of what her mother was doing and decided to betray her mother and leading the guards and everything to get Acadian arrested. A trial will be held. Obviously, she's going to die, and actually she did die, because Magnus had the right to kill her, punish her for what she did, because as head of the sanctuary, he was allowed to mete out punishment for things that happened in sanctuary. And since his handmaiden had been tortured and their child excavated from her body, he was allowed to draw penance. Now, if Acadian was sorrowful for everything she did and wanted to repent, they would have to allow her to live and do penance. But she would punish, but she would live. But she wasn't, so he was allowed to slay her. And so he didn't cut off her neck, I think more like sliced open her throat and let her bleed out. And Gwen and Malea stood before the chancellor, but the councils, and one of the ones that was disrespecting, she says, I'm removing you for this amount of time until you learn to call me by my rightful title and stop disrespecting me, because that's over with. And then she's like, this is my mate. This is who I'm marrying. This is who is going to be part of it. And if you think you can get the people to rebel against me, you'd be wrong. Because he's a commoner, they will be happy that someone of their status is marrying in to my status. They'd be on my side. So, happy ending. Except for Daenerys' child. That's the only thing. My favorite character... Oh, yeah. And Gwen almost died by assassination. And not Daenerys, but Valera was actually able to heal, show that what she could do. So yay! Now she's going to be helping out all natural-born witches. It's becoming good people for the Shadow Dwellers and other supernaturals in this world. Back to my favorite character, okay? Have to be Rekka. I think her name's Rekka. Because she's dying by this disease called crush, and she's blind, and she's very weak, but she still knows things. She knows that Gwen and Malaya has been having a homosexual affair. She also knows that all of the fights that they have, and she's like, Malaya, be true to your heart. You want him just as much as he wants you in a mate capacity. Okay? So she's like got the hard truths and everything. My most disliked character, Acadea. Because all she cared about was revenge and bringing down the dynasty and putting herself in charge. The bitch that she is. No, she should never have been allowed to do any of that shit at all. What stood out as memorable? Gwen has loved Malaya 50 years, and she never once thought about him in any capacity besides being her bodyguard. For 50 years! That is insane. He has seen this woman slate her sexual urges with other men, and he withstood it. Because the only time she was allowed to dismiss him from her presence was while she was sleeping. No other time. Not while she was taking showers, not while she was being intimate with men. Nope. Not allowed. Only while you're sleeping. Oh my God. Could you imagine that kind of life? And he took it seriously. He only ever left her side twice. Twice. And that was during the series that we read it. During the time that we read it. Oh boy. I don't remember if I have a favorite passage because I did try to record this one before, but I fucked up. And so, yeah. I don't remember what I said in the last recording of this. So I don't think I have a favorite passage or a favorite quote that I can give you because I did listen to this audible and I did not mark anything in any tabbing. So I can't give you anything. Sorry. But what did I think about the ending of the book? I'm happy for the ending of the book, and most of the plot happened towards the end of the book. Like, most of this was just two people getting together, two couples getting together. That's all it was. 4 people, 2 couples, just getting together and realizing that they loved each other and wanted to be with each other. I would say the good plot of it moving along is like, this here is like plot. That's about it. The rest of it wasn't really plot. Which, I gotta say, I wasn't expecting. And I'm a little disappointed in it. But it's okay because I still love the series as a whole. And I wish she had put Sagan's as his own book. That's what I really wish. They didn't remind me of any of the book. Well, actually, hold up. Yeah, no, technically it did. The Nightwalker series, the Midnight Braids series, the Feral Warrior series. You know, those type of series do get reminded when I read books like this because their overarching plots are taking the span of several books, and you learn so much about them over the book series, about their characters, and you get different ones. You don't stay with one person. So there is that. Yeah. This book, as you know, is part of a series. It's actually a 3-book series, The Shadow Dwellers, but it does have intertwining with the Nightwalker series of hers, which is a 6-book series. So yes, you get mentions of the Nightwalkers and other nightly creatures that exist in our world that are part of this universe. So it's very, you can read them and still know that they're part of the same world. I did label this a 3.5. That's what I rated it as. By the way, the Shadow Dwellers is a 3-book series. I labeled this one a 3.5 because of the Sagan in the beginning was a 7-part chapter thing, which could have been longer and could have been its own book, and Malaya's could have been stretched out more with more plot in it, because it needs more plot. Because Sagan's did not really have much of a plot, besides the fact that they were trying to bring Sagan away from the Shadow Dwellers' Alaskan underground world, where they live for a majority of the time before they traveled to New Zealand, to bring him to Acadian's other lair to be tortured like Trez was. Is that his name? I think it was. I don't really remember his name. But yes, it needed more plot. It needed so much more plot, but it didn't have it. Okay, it didn't have the plot that it needed. It needed more plot. It needed more stuff happening in it for a wrap-up type of book. It just needed it, and it didn't have it. And it could have been 2 new books, and it could have been a 4-book series. And she could have put so much more terrible plot things going on in it. She could have. So yes, it was 3.5. But I'm keeping the series, so I'm keeping it. I'm keeping the series because I did enjoy it, and I will most likely like to reread it in the future someday. So, if you guys think I deserve a like, comment, and your lovely subscription, why don't you go ahead and drop it down below. I will see you next illusion.